Okay, what I want to do with this video, I've taught this before, but I didn't bring out something when I taught it. I said to people that the wrath of the Lamb, the trumpets, happen after the 7-year period is over. And there's a proof to that effect that nothing is heard on the earth until after the 7-year period is over. And then there's the angels are told specific thing. They can't do anything to the earth until something happens. Then eventually the events of the trumpets begin to happen. And these things happen after the 7-year period is over. So in Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 through 13, we see those events of the sun being darkened, which is an eclipse, the moon turning to blood moon, just like we saw in 2018, 2019. Right? The powers of the stars of heaven shaken. Those are the same events you see in Matthew 24 and verse 29 that you see in Revelation 6, 12 through 13. Right? So those events can only happen at one time in the history of mankind at the end of the 7 years, because Matthew 24 verses 15 through 29 dictates verse 15 begins the time of great tribulation, the midpoint of the 7 years. Verse 21 of Matthew 24 verifies that. So by the time you get to verse 29, it says immediately after the tribulation of those days, you know the tribulation of those days was the great tribulation period. So when you come to Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 and 13, and you see the same events as Matthew 24, 29, you know biblically the 7-year period is over. Plus in verse 14 of Revelation chapter 6, the heaven departs as a scroll when it's rolled together, and every mountain I will move out of place. Why? Because at this time, Jesus enters the earth atmosphere to get the church. And then in verses 15 through 17 of Revelation chapter 6, you see the people on the earth and the kings of the earth and the great men and rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men. They're trying to, and every free man, right? They're trying to hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Why? Verse 16 of Revelation 6, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Verse 17, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? It didn't say the great day of his wrath is over, and who was able to stand. It says, for the great day of his wrath is come, is here, and now who shall be able to stand? I told people when I teach on the book of Revelation, I show you that there will be people that will go through the wrath of the Lamb, the trumpets, and the wrath of God, the bowls, who did not worship the Antichrist or worship this image made of him or receive his mark in the right hand or forehead. Neither did they give their life to Jesus. They will go through the wrath of the Lamb and through the wrath of God and eventually be saved, some of them. But what I want you to see here after verse 17 of Revelation 6, when it proclaims the day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand, before that wrath begins, there's something that is said that is particular, that's specific, right? It says in Revelation 7:1, and after these things, the things I just read to you, matter of fact, the things from chapter 1 to chapter 6, but don't want to belay that. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, the north, south, east, and west winds, that the wind should not blow on the earth, neither on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. So the 4 angels were given power to hurt the earth and the sea, right? But in verse 3, it says this, Revelation chapter 7, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till. You can't hurt them until something happens. It says, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And then you hear in verse 4 the number of them that were sealed. And from verse 4 to verse 8, it tells you it's 12,000 each of the 12 tribes of Israel, and it names them. So when you see verse 9, it says, after this, I beheld and lo, a great multitude with no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne. Where did these people come from? He says, I heard a number, no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues standing before the throne. And I think it's the Jehovah Witnesses said that only 144,000 people are going to heaven. That's not true. You see right here in the word, it says the number of, no man could number, of all nations standing before the throne. I don't know how we get this 144,000. I guess they think since he said 12,000 each of the 12 tribes of Israel, that is the only amount of people that's going to heaven. Is not true. Now, when you come down to verses 13 and 14 of Revelation chapter 7, one of the elders asked John, who are these people that are standing before the throne that was just gathered out of the earth by Jesus? Revelation 6:14. Who are these people? Where did they come from? And in verse 14 of Revelation chapter 7, John says, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So they came out of the great tribulation period. Well, they couldn't be taken out of the earth no earlier than the end of the 7 years, because Daniel chapter 7, verses 21 through 25 says they must be given into the hands of the Antichrist for a time, times and a half a time, which is 3.5 years, time being 1 year, times plural being 2 years, and the dividing of time being a half a year, get half a finger, 3.5 years. So before this multitude in Revelation 7:9 could be taken out of the earth, we had to be at the end of the 7 years. So the interesting thing that I want you to see about that is you see that they could not, the four angels holding the four winds of the earth, could not hurt anything on the earth till 144,000 were sealed, right? Now we see in Revelation 7:13 and 14, a great multitude had to be taken out of the earth before anything could happen on the earth. So when you go to Revelation chapter 8, let me see where this is because I'm looking at 9. 8 and verse 1, after the multitude is taken out in Revelation 7:13 and 14, you come to Revelation 8:1. It says, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Verse 2, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God. To them were given 7 trumpets. I said this when I taught this before. The 7 trumpets are not given to the 7 angels until after the 7-year period is over, right? No hurt, no harm, or anything could come to the earth until the 144,000 was sealed, right? And the great multitude was taken out of the earth. Now that the great multitude is taken out of the earth in Revelation 8:1 through 2, now we see the 7 angels are given the 7 trumpets, in particular, verse 2 of Revelation 8. Now go down to verses 6 and 7 of Revelation 8. It says, and the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And then in verse 7, the first angel sounded. So the sounding of the trumpets is the wrath of the Lamb that was pronounced in Revelation chapter 6 and verse 17. For the great day of his wrath is coming, who shall be able to stand? But nothing on the earth could be hurt. The sea, the trees, nothing could be hurt on the earth until the multitude was taken out of the earth. And the multitude was taken out of the earth at the end of the 7 years. But there was no hurt on the earth until after the multitude was taken out of the earth. So when people say, yeah, the trumpets happened during the 7 years, they're lying. That's not a scripture for them to stand on when they say that. And from the time you see this in Revelation chapter 7, verse 3, you don't see anything happening on the earth until after that the 7th seal is opened in Revelation chapter 8, And then you see the trumpet sound. And when the trumpet sound, you see all these plagues and all these bad things happening on the earth. In Revelation 8:7, the first angel sounded, there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. So that means they weren't cast upon the earth until after the seventh seal was opened. But by the time the sixth seal was opened, all believers were gone out of the earth. And the wrath of the Lamb, which was proclaimed in Revelation chapter 6 and verse 17, does not start until the trumpets begin, because the trumpets are the wrath of the Lamb, and the trumpets do not happen on the earth during the 7 years, but after the 7 years. You go that way, you're fine. Just go ask my wife. Let me see. Yeah, because if you can't see my hand, you can't see her. But anyway, just wanted to bring out that point, that the angels who were holding the four winds were specifically told, you can't hurt the earth until 144,000 is sealed. And then we saw a great multitude taken out of the earth, all right, and taken to heaven and stand before the throne. They're identified as those that came out of the great tribulation period. And then the trumpets begin to sound, and the trumpets are the wrath of God. So I just want to reiterate that to you. You see nothing, no damage happening on the earth until that multitude is removed. And that multitude is not removed to the end of the 7 years. Now, I have other videos on YouTube under my name, William Verdell. You just look up my name, you'll see me. I got like 70 videos in all. Different teachings, different doctrinal things we teach that are biblically wrong. I also have 5 videos of me teaching the book of Revelation. They are all under the title PT1, the letter P, the letter T, the number 1, PT1, the pre-rapture and the third coming of Jesus. And then after that is PT2, PT3, PT4, PT5, the pre-rapture and the third coming of Jesus. So you can watch my teaching on the book of Revelation. Find out why the pre-trib rapture is wrong, the mid-trib rapture is wrong, the post-trib rapture is wrong, though it's the closest to being right. It's the closest to being right. It's not completely right. And the pre-wrath rapture is wrong, other than the one how I explain it. There's a pre-wrath rapture belief that the wrath of Satan is going to be cut short. The wrath of Satan, the Antichrist reign, the wrath of the Antichrist, Satan, who's possesses this man, that is going to be cut short of 3.5 years, 1,260 days, or 42 months. And that's not biblically true. What you do? That's not biblically true. Because if you cut his reign short of 1,260 days, then you make a lie in the Bible. Because the Bible says he must reign for 1,260 days, 42 months, or 3.5 years, according to Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 through 5. When he comes to power at the midpoint of 7 years, he continues for another 42 months, 1,260 days, or 3.5 years. And each year is 360 days long. And each month of that year has 30 days even, not 28, 29, 31. Each month of that year has 30 days even. And it will work out to 1,260 days, 42 months, or 3.5 years, based upon a 360-day year, having each month equal to 30 days even in each month. All right, so you go and watch those videos. You'll learn a whole lot of things you've never learned before. And one thing that I covered recently that is not taught on the videos, but it's taught on, I think I have it on my videos on YouTube, is in Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 2, where it comes to the time of great troubles that has never been since Israel was a nation, which is a time of great tribulation when they're invaded. At that time, Michael will stand up. And it says, and at that time, everyone that's found written in the book of life, shall be delivered. And it says, those that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake to everlasting life. So If those that sleep in the dust of the earth are awakening to everlasting life, that's the resurrection rapture. But in those two verses there, you realize that nobody is raised from the dead until Michael stands up. And Michael doesn't stand up at the beginning of the 7 years. He stands up when there's a time of trouble that's never been since there was a nation, which is the time of great tribulation. And at that time, when Michael stands up, after he stands up, then everyone who's found written in the book, Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 2, shall be delivered, right? And they'll awake to everlasting life. That's the resurrection. That's the resurrection rapture, where the mortal bodies are changed to immortal, the corruptible bodies are changed to incorruption. That is also at the sounding of the last trumpet. Just because it says nobody will be raised from the dead until Michael stands up, and he doesn't stand up until the midpoint of the 7 years, that doesn't mean as soon as Michael stands up at the midpoint of the 7 years, the resurrection rapture takes place. Nope. It just lets you know that nobody can be raised from the dead until he stands up, disproving a pre-trib resurrection rapture at the beginning of the 7 years. All right, this is Brother Bill, Pastor Winston Chase Ministries down here in Ozark, Crazo, Alabama. We're crazy for Jesus. If you want to get in touch with me, my number is 334-379-0964. Text me. If you call me and I don't know your number, I will not answer. Text me. Hey, Brother Bill, this is so-and-so, I want to talk to you. Hey, Pastor, this is so-and-so, I want to talk to you. Hey, you, this is so-and-so, I want to talk to you about the book of Revelation. And when I see your text, I will get back in touch with you as soon as possible. All right, God bless you. And bye-bye. Spread the word, share my videos. Thank you in advance.